It was 8:55 a.m. when the man walked into the building. He wore a simple gray shirt, old jeans, and shoes that looked dusty. He didn't carry a briefcase. He didn't wear a watch. He didn't look like someone important. The front desk receptionist, a young woman named Dana, glanced at him and raised an eyebrow. He didn't look like a client. He didn't look like staff either. To her, he looked out of place. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice sharp. The man smiled gently. "Just waiting for someone." He sat down on a couch near the glass wall. He didn't pull out a phone. He didn't talk. He just sat. Quiet, calm and still. Whispers and laughs. Dana whispered to her coworker, "Who do you think he is? Maybe lost?" Her friend laughed. "Maybe a delivery guy or janitor looking for work." Another man walked by and joked, "Looks like he's here to fix the elevator." They all laughed. The stranger said nothing. He heard everything, but said nothing. The shiny world around him. The office lobby was beautiful. White marble floors, glass doors, art on the walls. People in suits walked past him, clicking shoes, coffee cups, busy voices. Some looked at him like he didn't belong. Some ignored him like he was invisible, but the man didn't move. His eyes scanned everything, every nameplate, every person, every detail. One kind soul, a young intern named Priya, noticed him. She walked over, holding 2 coffee cups. "Would you like some water?" she asked kindly. The man looked up and smiled. "Thank you," he said. "You're the first to ask." She handed him a paper cup. "Are you here for an interview?" she asked. "No," he replied softly. "I'm here to watch." "Watch what?" she asked. He looked at the staff around him and said, "How people treat those they think are less important." Priya frowned, confused. He smiled again. "Don't worry. You passed the test." The rude manager. Just then, a manager named Brian walked in. He was loud, proud, and always in a rush. He stopped when he saw the stranger on the couch. "Excuse me," he said. "You can't sit here." The man looked up. "I'm not bothering anyone." "This area is for guests only, important ones." "I understand," the man said calmly. "But I believe I'm exactly where I need to be." Brian scoffed. "Well, do you have an appointment?" "No." "Then you can't stay." He turned to Dana. "Security, call someone." The calm warning as. Dana picked up the phone. The man stood slowly. "I suggest you don't do that," he said, still calm. "Why not?" Brian asked with a smirk. "You're just an outsider." The stranger looked him in the eyes and said, "This company means a lot to me, more than you know. And trust me, you don't want to regret today." Brian laughed loudly. "Oh, really? Are you going to buy the company?" The man didn't answer. He simply sat back down, watching, waiting. Behind the silence, while others mocked him, the stranger checked his watch. 15 a.m. Soon, very soon. Upstairs, the board of directors was preparing a big meeting. What no one knew was that this man had already been invited, just not in the way they expected. The security comes. 2 guards arrived at the lobby. One looked confused. The other, older one, paused when he saw the stranger. "Wait," he said, holding out his hand. "I know him." Dana and Brian blinked. "What?" Brian said. "I've seen him before," the guard said. "Years ago. Different place. He's not just anyone." The man smiled gently. "It's all right. Let them decide how they want to remember this day." He stood and brushed his pants. One last warning before walking away, he turned to Brian and Dana. "You judged me by my clothes. You laughed because I looked poor, but you didn't ask who I was. You didn't ask why I was here." Dana looked nervous now. Brian rolled his eyes. "I don't care who you are," Brian said. "This is a company, not a street bench." The stranger turned to Priya, the kind intern. "Thank you for being different," he said. "People like you, they make companies great." Then he walked toward the elevator, not rushed, not afraid, The elevator ride. As the doors closed, the security guard asked, "Should we stop him?" The older one shook his head. "No. Something tells me we'll be hearing his name very soon." The elevator doors opened with a soft ding. The stranger stepped out onto the executive floor. Everything looked fancy. Glass walls, silver signs, big screens on the walls. People in suits moved quickly, holding files and coffee cups. A group of managers stood outside the big meeting room. They were waiting for the CEO. When they saw the stranger, they paused. One man whispered, "Is he lost?" Another chuckled, "Maybe he's here to fix the Wi-Fi." The stranger didn't say anything. He just walked slowly to the meeting room and opened the door. The confused assistant. Inside the room, an assistant stood by the table. She looked up as he entered. "Excuse me, sir. This is a private meeting." "I know," the man said calmly. "Are you from maintenance?" "No," she frowned. "Then you're not on the list." The man walked to an empty chair and sat down quietly. She tried again. "Sir, I can't let you stay." But just then, the directors began walking in. She backed away nervously. The laughs-begin executives took their seats. One by one, they noticed the stranger. Some raised eyebrows, some smirked. One even whispered, "Look who sneaked into first class." Loud laughter followed. A man in a blue tie leaned forward and said, "Hey, buddy, this isn't the unemployment office." Another one added, "You must be really brave or really lost." The stranger sat still, his fingers on the folder in front of him. He looked at each person in the room, but said nothing. The folder. No one expected. Suddenly, the CEO, Mr. Craigman, walked in. Tall, powerful, proud. He stopped at the head of the table, noticed the stranger, and frowned. "Who let this man in here?" he asked, clearly annoyed. The assistant stammered, I tried to stop him, sir. He just walked in." Craigman stared at the stranger. "You can't be here. This is a board-level meeting." The stranger finally spoke. "I know." Craigman narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" The man opened the folder slowly. Inside were official documents, company files, ownership papers, confidential reports. He slid one page across the table. A woman picked it up, read it, and her mouth fell open. "This can't be real." The page had one line in bold. Owner, Raymond Cole. 51%. Majority shareholder whispers filled the room. Some laughed nervously. One man stood to check the document himself. Another asked, "Is this a joke?" Raymond Cole finally said, "No joke. I bought this company 2 months ago. Quietly, legally." The room froze. The CEO's face changed. Craigman turned red. "You're lying." Raymond slid another paper forward. "Check the date. Signed, sealed, registered. I became your boss before you ever met me." Craigman grabbed the file and scanned it. His hands began to shake. Raymond leaned back. "You were too busy judging my clothes to check the news." The woman who remembered a woman named Mrs. Ellis, one of the oldest board members, suddenly leaned forward. "Wait. Raymond Cole, are you?" Her voice faded. Raymond nodded. "Yes, my father worked here. You remember him?" She gasped. "Your father was Harold Cole?" "Yes," he said quietly. "The man this company crushed." Flashback. The fired man years ago, Harold Cole, had worked in the same company. He had been loyal, hard-working, honest. But when he stood against a corrupt deal, he was fired without warning, humiliated, replaced. His family lost everything. Raymond was just a boy back then. He remembered everything. He remembered standing in the rain outside this same building, holding his father's hand as they were thrown out. The room falls, silent. No one laughed now. No one spoke. The same managers who mocked Raymond just minutes ago now looked at the table, avoiding eye contact. Even Craigman sat still, lips tight, Raymond's. Calm words, Raymond stood and said, "I came here in simple clothes. No one stopped to ask who I was. You judged me because I looked like an outsider. He looked at each person. Now you know who I am, and you're all suddenly silent. He walks out, without another word. Raymond picked up his folder and walked toward the door. But before he left, he turned and said, "This company needs change. Real change. I'll be watching how each of you treats others from now on, because next time, the outsider might just be your new boss again." He smiled, then walked out, leaving everyone in deep silence. Raymond Cole's footsteps echoed down the hallway as he left the meeting room. Inside, the boardroom was silent. The people who had laughed at him just minutes ago were now pale and speechless, but one man wasn't ready to give up. CEO Thomas. Craigman slammed his hand on the table. "This is crazy," he said. "We don't even know if that paper is real." Doubt turns to anger. "Maybe it's a trick," said one of the directors nervously. Another added, "He walked in here like a homeless guy, not a boss." Craigman stood up, face red with anger. "We can still fix this," he said, "if we act fast." "Fix what?" asked Mrs. Ellis quietly. "He owns the company now." Craigman shook his head. "He may own shares, but I run this place. He can't just walk in and take over." Trying to push back, Craigman called his legal team. "Find something," he barked into the phone. "Anything. I want him out of this company." He turned to the assistant. "Tell security not to let him back upstairs." Downstairs, Raymond sat in the lobby again, calmly sipping a glass of water. 2 guards came and stood near him. They didn't speak. They didn't try to remove him. They had already heard the truth and respected it. Back in the CEO's office, Craigman walked into his private office and slammed the door. He sat down, thinking hard. How did this happen? He whispered to himself. He opened his laptop and searched Raymond Cole. What he found shocked him. Who is Raymond Cole? Raymond had started from nothing. After his father was fired by this same company, Raymond had worked as a cleaner, a delivery driver, and a night shift clerk. But over the years, he built his own business, step by step, silently, real estate, investments, tech startups. Now he was one of the silent millionaires in the country, and he had done it all. Quietly. The email that changed everything at 2:12 p.m., all board members received a new email. Subject, new management structure, effective immediately. From Raymond Cole. Inside the email were legal documents confirming his majority ownership. At the bottom, it read, "I will return tomorrow to begin reviewing the team. I expect honesty, not fear. And I will remember who treated me with respect and who didn't." Craigman slammed his laptop shut. "This can't be happening." His secret call. He picked up his phone and called someone. "Listen," he whispered. "That man, Cole, he's taking over. I need you to delay the process, leak something, anything that makes him look bad." The voice on the phone paused, then replied, "You want me to attack the owner of the company?" Craigman growled, "Just do it." But what Craigman didn't know was someone was listening. The hidden camera earlier that morning, Raymond had placed a tiny camera in the meeting room. He didn't trust the system. He wanted to know how people behaved when they thought the outsider was gone. Now, as he sat in a quiet cafe across the street, he watched Craigman on his phone. Live. Raymond shook his head slowly. So this is who's been running the company, planning the next move. Raymond opened his notebook and wrote one name. Thomas Craigman. Under it, he wrote, "Lied to staff. Mocked outsiders, tried to block legal bake. Takeover asked someone to leak false info. He closed the book. Tomorrow would be the real test." Priya gets a message. Meanwhile, in the downstairs lobby, intern. Priya got a surprise. An email from Raymond Cole. "Thank you for showing kindness when others didn't. Please come to the 18th floor at 10 a.m. tomorrow." She stared at the screen, confused, but smiling. What did it mean? Why her? the calm. Before the storm that night, the office lights slowly went dark. People left in silence, some scared, some nervous, some still in denial. But Raymond didn't leave. He stood across the street, watching the building his father once loved, the place that had destroyed his family's peace. Now it was his. But revenge wasn't what he wanted. He wanted justice. And tomorrow, that justice would begin. The next morning, the sun rose over the glass tower. People walked into the company building with nervous faces. Whispers moved through the halls like wind. Is Raymond Cole really the new owner? Did he fire the CEO yet? Why did he come in dressed like a nobody? No one had answers. But everyone was talking, except for one girl who quietly walked into the elevator, Priya, the intern. The surprise email, Priya had only been working at the company for 3 weeks. She had no fancy clothes, no big salary. She made coffee, printed papers, and stayed quiet. But she was kind. She was the only one who greeted Raymond Cole politely when he first walked in. She offered him water. She spoke with respect, and that kindness had not gone unnoticed. Last night she received an email that shocked her. Come to the 18th floor at 10 a.m., RC. A nervous ride. Now she stood in the elevator, heart beating fast. The 18th floor? That was the executive level. Interns weren't even allowed there. She looked down at her simple clothes and sighed. She didn't feel ready, but she remembered his eyes, calm, kind, and serious. She pressed the button. Raymond was waiting. When the elevator doors opened, the hallway was quiet. No rushing assistants, no loud executives, just one man standing near. The boardroom door, Raymond Cole, he smiled when he saw her. You came, he said. Priya nodded slowly. Yes, but I don't understand why. Raymond motioned toward the meeting room. Come inside. You're about to understand everything. Inside the room the big table was empty except for 2 seats. He pulled one out for her. Sit, please. She sat down slowly. Raymond placed a folder on the table in front of her. You were the only person who treated me like a human being, he said. That means more to me than you know. Priya looked confused. But I'm just an intern. He shook his head. You're more than that. You have heart. That's something this company lost long ago. A shocking offer. He opened the folder. Inside was a document titled Assistant to Owner. Direct appointment. Priya gasped. This can't be for me? Raymond smiled. It is. I need someone I can trust. Someone who sees people, not just power. Her eyes filled with tears. But I don't have experience. I'll teach you, he said. I started as a janitor. Sometimes the ones who begin at the bottom understand the top best. Meanwhile, in the CEO's office on the other side of the building, Thomas Craigman was pacing. He hadn't slept all night. The legal team confirmed the truth. Raymond was now the legal majority owner. There was no way to stop him. Still, Craigman had a plan. The desperate move. He had spoken with one of the company's investors. Together, they planned to hold an emergency vote. Their goal? To remove Raymond by force, claiming he was unfit to lead. Craigman smiled to himself. If I can turn just 5 board members, I can take back control. But what he didn't know was that 2 members had already spoken with Raymond. And they weren't on his side anymore. Raymond's warning back in the boardroom. Raymond handed Priya another folder. This is everything Craigman did wrong. The lies, the threats, the backroom deals. Priya looked shocked. Are you going to fire him? Raymond nodded slowly. Not yet. I want everyone to see who he really is first. Let him try his little tricks. Then we'll show the truth. He paused, then added, I don't just want revenge. I want to rebuild this company the right way. Training begins. For the next hour, Raymond showed Priya how the company worked, how board meetings were held, how fake reports were made, how money was hidden in wrong places. Priya couldn't believe it. She said, "No one outside knows this." Raymond replied, "They will soon, but first we clean the mess from the inside." Back at the board table, at noon, all board members were called into the meeting room. Craigman entered with confidence, hiding his fear. Raymond stood at the head of the table. Priya sat beside him with a pen and notepad. Craigman scoffed. "You brought the intern into a board meeting?" Raymond answered calmly. "She's more professional than some people in this room." Whispers spread across the room. The fire in his eyes, Raymond looked at every face. "I've watched this company from the outside for years. Now I'm inside, and I don't like what I see." He placed a pile of papers on the table. "Tomorrow, I will show the full truth. If anyone wants to confess early, now is the time." No one spoke, but some eyes shifted, some hands shook. The storm was coming, and they knew it. CEO Thomas Craigman sat in his glass office, eyes locked on the building across the street. Raymond Cole was inside, sitting in the chair he used to call his own. Anger burned inside him. "I built this company," he whispered, "and I won't let a street boy take it away." The secret meeting Craigman wasn't done yet. That afternoon, he met with Mr. Luther Gray, a powerful investor with deep pockets. They sat in a private club far from the company. Gray sipped his drink slowly. "You said you had a plan?" Craigman leaned in. "We call for an emergency board vote. Claim Raymond is emotionally unstable. Say he's trying to take over for personal revenge." Gray raised an eyebrow. "Do you have proof?" "No," Craigman said with a grin, "but I can create some." Lies began to spread by evening. Fake rumors had already started. Raymond only bought shares to destroy the company. He's firing people based on personal grudges. He threatened the CEO's family. None of it was true, but fear spreads faster than facts. Some board members started getting nervous. A few even started avoiding Raymond. Raymond notices the shift in his temporary office. Raymond read the latest internal reports. He noticed changes, staff quitting without warning, delays in file access, cold looks from certain directors. Priya walked in holding a folder. Her face looked worried. "Sir," she said, "someone is spreading lies about you." Raymond looked up. Calm. "I know. You're not going to stop them?" Raymond leaned back in his chair. "The truth doesn't need to scream. It just needs the right moment to speak." Setting the trap that night, Raymond made a quiet phone call. He spoke to the company's IT head, a quiet man named Omar. "I need you to monitor Craigman's emails," Raymond said, "and log every message to or from Mr. Luther Gray." Omar paused. "That's risky, sir," Raymond replied. "So is letting a liar lead this company?" The day of the vote. The next morning, the boardroom was full. Every seat was taken. Even staff from lower floors had gathered near the door, trying to listen. Craigman entered with a confident smile. He looked at Raymond and said loudly, "Today we vote for the company's future." Raymond stayed silent. Craigman stood and began his speech. "This man doesn't understand business. He's here to punish, not to build. He's already showing dangerous behavior." Some nodded. Others looked unsure. Then Craigman pulled out printed emails. "These are threats he made to me, personally." Gasps filled the room. Raymond. Stands up Raymond stood slowly. He walked to the front of the table and placed a laptop down. "May I?" he asked calmly. No one said a word. He pressed a button and played a recording. Craigman's voice came through the speakers. "Leak something. Anything that makes him look bad. I don't care if it's a lie, just stop him." Silence. Then, Raymond played another. "Luther Gray. That's risky, Thomas. What if he finds out?" Craigman. "He won't. He's not smart enough." Now no one could look Craigman in the eyes. The vote. Flips Raymond turned to the board. "I didn't come here to destroy this company. I came to fix it, to make it better, for everyone. He nodded to Priya, who passed out small cards. Each board member wrote their vote, yes or no. The cards were collected, counted. The final result, 10 in favor of Raymond. 2 against Thomas Craigman had lost. Security arrives. 2 security officers walked in silently. Raymond looked at them. Please escort Mr. Craigman out of the building. He is no longer part of this company. Craigman exploded. You think you've won? I'll sue you. I'll bury this place. Raymond looked him in the eyes. You already buried it. I'm just digging it back up. The officers took Craigman by the arms and walked him out. The room stayed silent for a long moment. Then, quiet applause began. Not loud, not dramatic, just real. Hope returns after the meeting. Staff in the building began smiling again. People stopped whispering. They started believing. Raymond walked through the halls, not with guards, but with respect. People greeted him. Some apologized. He forgave, but he didn't forget. It had been 2 days since Raymond Cole removed Thomas Craigman from the company. The mood inside the building had changed, but not completely. Some people smiled when Raymond walked past, but some still whispered behind doors. Some were grateful. Others were scared. Raymond knew. Changing the leader is easy. Changing the culture is harder. The first announcement, Raymond stood in the middle of the main office floor. He held a microphone, but his voice was calm and firm. I'm not here to punish anyone, he said. I'm here to build something better. With you. He paused and looked around. No more bullying. No more fear. From today, respect is not optional. It's required. He ended with words no one expected. If you want to leave, you're free to go. But if you stay, you're part of the change. People stared. Some nodded. Others looked down. A surprise resignation. Later that day, Raymond received a message. Miriam. West, head of HR, wanted to meet him. She entered quietly, holding an envelope. I'm resigning, she said. Raymond looked up. Why? Miriam sighed. I followed Craigman for too long. I stayed silent when I should have spoken. I don't deserve to stay. Raymond thought for a moment. Then he asked, Do you regret it? She nodded slowly. Every day. He handed the envelope back to her. Then stay and help fix it. Miriam's eyes filled with tears. New rules. New start over the next week. Raymond made major changes. He replaced toxic managers. He created a safe voice email so anyone could report abuse. He gave small promotions to good, quiet workers. He moved Priya to a real desk. Beside his office, at first people didn't believe it. But then, they saw it was real. A cleaner got a raise. A receptionist got extra training. One of the cafeteria workers was invited to a staff lunch. People mattered again. But not everyone was happy. Far across the city, a man watched all this news on his screen. His name was Luther Gray, the investor who helped Craigman. He slammed his fist on the table. He's rebuilding faster than I thought. He called his assistant, set up a meeting with the press. We're going to ruin his name before he becomes unstoppable. Meanwhile, in Raymond's office, Raymond sat with Priya. Looking at new staff suggestions, he smiled. This is what leadership should feel like. Priya laughed. Not bad for someone they called an outsider. But then, Omar, the IT head, rushed in. He looked worried. Sir, you need to see this. He placed a tablet on the table. A breaking news report was playing. Breaking news. Shocking. Past of Raymond Cole. The screen showed grainy photos of Raymond as a teenager, on the streets, in court, even in a fight. A voice spoke. Who really is Raymond Cole? A man with a criminal past, now running one of the city's biggest companies. Is he hiding something worse? Raymond stared at the screen, emotionless. But Priya looked shocked. Is this true? He nodded. Some of it, yes. The story. He never told. Raymond stood and looked out the window. I was 15 when I was arrested for stealing food, he said quietly. My mother was sick. We had nothing. No money. No help. He continued, his voice steady. I spent 1 year in juvenile. Prison. After that, I worked jobs no one wanted. I cleaned offices, carried boxes, scrubbed toilets, but I never gave up. He turned to Priya. They want to use my past to destroy me, but I'm not ashamed of where I came from. The decision, Raymond called his assistant. Set up a company-wide live stream. Right now. In just 15 minutes, every screen in the building, and even some phones, lit up. Raymond stood in front of the camera. His voice was calm. Yes, I was once poor. Yes, I was once arrested. But I never lied. I never cheated. I worked hard, and I rose. He looked straight into the lens. If my past makes you question me, then maybe you don't know what true strength is. And if you think someone like me can't lead, then you haven't seen what I can do yet. The response, no one expected. After the live stream, people across the company began to clap, one by one, in offices, in break rooms, even in the elevator. Staff posted online, "That's the leader we need. He didn't hide. He stood up." I believe in him more than ever. Even workers from other companies began sharing his story. The outsider wasn't just accepted now. He was admired. The video of Raymond Cole's live stream spread faster than anyone expected. By the next morning, it had 4 million views. By noon, it was on every news channel. Man with a past now owns the future. From prison to power, meet Raymond Cole. The CEO who told the truth. Comments poured in from around the world. This man is brave. I trust him more than rich CEOs with fake smiles. He gives people like me hope. But while the world clapped, one man grew angrier by the hour. The enemy returns. Luther Gray sat in a dark hotel room. His phone buzzed nonstop. He watched the video again, eyes full of hate. This was supposed to destroy him, he hissed. Voice behind him said, "What now, sir?" Luther turned. "We go deeper. If the past won't stop him, then maybe his blood will." Meanwhile, in Raymond's office. Raymond sat at his desk reading emails. One was from a single mom. One was from a homeless shelter director. One was from a janitor in another country. Each said the same thing. "Your story gave me courage." He smiled, but he knew this peace wouldn't last. He called Omar, the IT head. "Keep watching the network," Raymond said. "They'll try again, this time bigger." Omar nodded. The threat. Arrives that evening, something strange happened. Raymond's personal bank accounts were frozen. Emails started bouncing back. Internal documents went missing. Then, a private investigator showed up at the office. He handed Raymond a brown envelope. "What's this?" Priya asked. Raymond opened it. Inside, a fake report claiming Raymond wasn't the real heir to the shares he used to gain control. A message was paperclipped to it. "You can be the hero, but not the owner." LG Emergency Board meeting. Called the next morning, the board was called again. Some members looked confused. Others looked nervous. A lawyer in a gray suit stood up. "This document suggests Mr. Cole's shares may be invalid," he said. Raymond didn't flinch. He stood. "Those shares were gifted to me by Mr. Langston, the founder," he said calmly. "There are signed papers and witnesses." The lawyer smiled. "But where are those witnesses now?" Whispers filled the room. Raymond looked straight ahead. "They'll come," he said, "because truth never hides forever." The woman in the hallway. Just then, a woman stepped into the room. Everyone turned to look. She was elderly, with white hair and a cane. "I believe I can answer that," she said. Raymond's eyes widened. "Mrs. Langston?" She smiled. "My husband told me before he died that Raymond Cole was the most loyal worker he had ever met. He left those shares to him with full trust. She took out a signed video will. Gasps filled the room. Rain fell hard outside Raymond Cole's office. Inside, he sat quietly, staring out the window. Everything had changed so fast. From a cleaner to a CEO. From being mocked to being respected. But he knew something wasn't right. He could feel it. This peace wouldn't last. The final move Luther Gray wasn't done. After failing to destroy Raymond's past and failing to trick the board, he had one final plan. One dark, dangerous plan. He called a man in a black suit. "I want Cole gone," Luther said coldly. But not just his job, everything, the fake scandal. The next morning, news broke again. But this time, it was worse. Headlines screamed, "Company. Funds missing? Did Raymond steal millions?" The media jumped on it. Social media exploded. Some employees panicked. Even a few board members looked nervous. Raymond sat still. "This is fake," he whispered. But lies travel faster than truth. The police arrive hours later. Police officers entered the office. One officer walked up to Raymond. "Mr. Cole, we need to ask you to come with us." Employees watched in shock as their CEO was quietly led out of the building in handcuffs. Phones recorded. Cameras flashed. But Raymond didn't resist. His head stayed high. His steps stayed calm. The interview room, inside the station, Raymond sat. Across from two officers, they showed him bank records. "Large amounts moved under your name," one said. Raymond replied, "I didn't move a single cent." They looked at him. "Then who did?" Raymond answered firmly. "Find out who had access. That will lead you to the truth." Meanwhile, Priya takes a stand back at the company. Chaos was everywhere. Some workers panicked. Others cried. A few believed the lies. But Priya stood tall. She gathered the staff. "This is a setup. I believe in Raymond." She called Omar in IT. "Check the security logs. Find the hack." Omar nodded. Hours passed. People waited. Then they found it. A shadow user ID, hidden entries, remote access from a hotel downtown. The real thief uncovered. Omar rushed into the boardroom with the proof. The real criminal was Luther Gray. He had used secret access left behind by Craigman to frame Raymond. Priya took the files straight to the police. The officers looked at the evidence. It was solid. That same evening, Raymond was released. The return of the real leader as he stepped out of the station. Dozens of workers were waiting for him. Some clapped, some cried, some simply stood in silence, full of respect. Raymond walked forward slowly. His voice was soft but powerful. "They tried everything to break me. They used my past, my name, even the law. But I'm still standing, and I'm not leaving." Luther's fallback at the hotel, Luther Gray was arrested quietly. No media, no press conference, just cold handcuffs and a long prison sentence ahead. As he was taken away, a reporter asked him, "Why did you hate Raymond so much?" Luther growled, "Because men like him aren't supposed to win." 1 month later, the company was stronger than ever. New talent joined. Old workers returned. Respect became part of the culture. Raymond stood on stage during a small celebration. He looked at the crowd. People from every background, color, and position stood united. He smiled. "Some laughed at me when I first walked in. But I didn't fight back with hate. I fought with truth, with kindness, and with patience." Then he said words no one forgot. "Let them laugh, because when you rise quietly, they'll be too shocked to laugh again." Final words, the man they mocked, the man they doubted, the man they called an outsider. He became the leader they never saw coming, and he did it without lies, without tricks, without hate. He did it his way,